Alright guys, Kev here, and it's rapid review time, and I'm actually going to try to be rapid. So, we're going to go down the line. Actually, no we're not, because I have no idea what order I just put those in. Let us begin. So, first up, we have the BRNLY Squid 2. This is a Italy-made knife, M390, BRNLY branded, so it's not a CRKT. This was loaned in to me by my partner on Devo Knives, Colin Mason Pierre. Awesome dude. He has skiff bearings in here, and the action's pretty good. And honestly, they did a good job with this knife. I just don't like the knife. Like, I just don't like the design very much, and I think that's my problem with it. But honestly, on this example here, I've been burned way too many times by Italy that I'm not going to say they're all this good, but this example is perfect. The detent is on point. The action is pretty dialed in. The centering is dead nuts. Like, they did a great freaking job on this one, okay? Aesthetically, not my thing. Squid is correct. It kind of just looks like that. Has a spear point blade. It's a flat grind. As a lefty, or a righty, honestly, the ergos, I get why people like this knife. If you hold it back here, it's very comfortable. You kind of land in this spot right here. You can choke up and go forward on it, and it's very comfortable in that way. Guys, when I say rapid reviews, I think I'm going to call all of these overviews, so rapid overviews. I just didn't want to carry and use these very much, so they went in pocket a few times, and that was about it. They maybe cut a package open or two, and that was it. Like, I just didn't feel a connection to these, so I wasn't going to spend a bunch of time on them. I hope that makes sense, and then that's why I'm going to call these overviews and not reviews, not full reviews, guys. I just don't feel right doing that because you guys want my opinion on these. And if you're out there looking to buy one and you happen to see it in this video, I want you to know I don't have a ton of experience with these, right? You should probably talk to the owners of these knives. That's what I'm going to recommend. If you're looking to buy one of these, talk to the owner of whatever knife it is. I'm going to tell you who it is. This one is Colin Mason Pierre, CM Knife Designs, okay? Just not my favorite ergonomically in hand or aesthetically. And the cutting is fine. I mean, it's got a good edge on it. It's M390. Comes down to a pretty thin edge because it's got a taller grind. It's Italy, so how good is that grind? I don't know. I'm not an expert on grinds. I hear people say all the time one side was different than the other. I have no idea how to figure that out. I don't, like, my mind does not work that way. I'm kind of an aesthetic guy when it comes to picking stuff out, and then a feel guy when it comes to, like, action and stuff. But maybe it's just because I don't sharpen much that I don't notice things like that. But yeah, let's talk about the action on this thing, right? The detent, perfect. Just fires out of there. It drops to your nail. Now, the thing I really don't like about this knife is the lock bar access. So it's got this super weird cut going on, and it's on both sides, and it's like you're supposed to, like, go into this little pocket or something, but then it has the same freaking cutout here. So, like, you're not going straight into a lock bar to disengage. You're going, like, into this corner of it right here that you got to catch, and then you got to try to get it to drop, and it's just annoying. Like, I try to push all the way down there now, like down at the bottom here, and try to get it to disengage. It's just not comfortable. It's really annoying, honestly. Left-handed, same thing. You're kind of just like shoving your thumb into this sort of crescent and trying to disengage. It's just weird. Now, you can rest your finger on the lock bar. They must have some kind of over treble and stabilizer in there. I don't know. It works really well, even though the detent's good. So that's good. Left-handed, it works pretty well. Overall, it's not a bad knife, guys. It's actually very well made. I am surprised by this one. I basically wrote it off when they came out because of the price. These are like $375, I think they started at, or $325, and they went up to like $5 something. And this is just a plain titanium and M390. Like, that price, but whatever. It's well made, and they did a good job. So I got to give them credit, the clip. It's fine. I hate ones with the pokey point, and that's all they have. So not my favorite, and it kind of lands like right in between where the lock bar is cut, which is awkward. but it's fine, you know. It has a lanyard spot. Not my favorite thing, but if you're a big fan of the squid, I totally get it, and you probably would really like this one. So I'm going to get this one back to Kyle. Next up, we have a couple Finch knives. This is the Lucky number 13. Again, not a ton of use on this. I just wasn't, I don't know. I like the 1929 better, and on the next one, I like the Holiday better. So I wasn't going to spend a bunch of time on these. This knife just feels way better to me. I don't like a sway back handle all that much, and it's, you know, because of ergonomics. This one feels pretty good in hand. You get a good grip. There's nothing wrong with this knife. This one feels even better in hand. I just like that feel better. I believe this is a little bigger than the 1929. No, they're about the same size. I like the blade shape. I like the aesthetic. I just like everything better about the 1929. So it made it tough, you know. I don't like the lock bar access as much on this one. Like the 1929, I can push and have it drop. This one, I tend to get it like caught like right there on my nail a lot. Then you got to shake it down. This one's a bit gritty. I was going to take it apart for Casey. I just never had the time, unfortunately. Maybe I'll do it later before I ship it or something. But it kind of wants to fail on you because of that. I think a cleaning would take care of it, though, to be honest. Love the bolster lock design. I love how QSP finishes these. They do a great job. Of course, you guys know they made the stout prototypes, so a little biased there. You don't have an insert because it's steel. So it does look a little bit cleaner that way, but of course you get the added weight. You get the nice wood. I think this is, it's not snake wood, it's something else, but it's very, very nice. I just like their knives overall. And this has a great blade shape if you really want something for utility cutting, like me with the cutting shipping labels and cutting into packages a lot. And you just want a small little traditional looking knife. Man, this is a killer one for that, right? You can reverse flick this left-handed off of that nail nick right there. So you just get on the nail nick, bang. Fires out, works great left-handed. Righties cannot do that. I think you can still just fire it off the blade. Yeah, so no big deal, but it would be cool to have the nail nick on both sides, I guess. Yeah, just not my favorite design, you know what I mean? But a lot of people like sway back, so I totally get it. And they did another cool milled clip. I do like how they did it off to the side on this one. I think that's really cool. So that's the Lucky number 13. And then next we have the Roadrunner, which this one the main thing I don't like is the fact that it has these two kind of things going on stiletto style, because I've a couple times picked it up and tried to fire it out like this, and it had to flip it around, and there you go. Detent, absolutely money on this. For me, this one's just aesthetic. This does nothing for me. Honestly, since the 1929 and the Holiday, they really haven't had anything that's like caught my interest other than the Harvester. I think was sexy as hell. So, you know, of course, you're not going to hit everybody with design. So, you know, they'll get something that hits my interest again at some point, and then I'll be all over it. But you have the same construction, QSP. This one has burlwood handles. I don't know. I just don't like how they did the inlays as well on this one either. Like, there's a gap over here. I don't like how it's kind of semicircle compared to how, I guess that is the same on the Holiday, but it just looks cleaner to me on the Holiday. I don't know why. I never even noticed that on the Holiday, but on this one, they stick out kind of the transitions. Again, here's the one that I'm comparing it to. And I just prefer this one. I prefer a Warney blade. I prefer not having this sort of stiletto look. I don't like having the two flipper tabs sticking out. This is a bit flat and straight and square, but it works very well in hand. You know, you get that corner a little bit in your palm, but other than that, the action is incredible. It will zip past you right there. And the detent fires out. It's super thin and lightweight. I just love it, right? And this has those aspects to it, but it just feels a little heavier on the blade. The detent is definitely snappy. There's heel, a little bit lighter. Not lighter, but a little bit. It's not as drop shutty. I think, it just has a little bit of grit through here. No play or anything, so that's good. you know, it's QSP and it's Finch, so it's definitely a well-made knife. It's going to be good for whoever likes the aesthetic. And that's the thing, guys. Knives, a lot of times it's about aesthetic. You can kind of front flip these if you get under this and try to, like, whip it out like that. You can get it, which is cool. But, yeah, guys, these are, you know, traditional whatever. So you have guys who just collect every one because it's a traditional, and that's what you do. Pattern, you collect patterns. And then there's going to be people who it catches their eye, where the Holiday and the 1929 catch my eye. To somebody else, the lucky number 13 and the Roadrunner catch their eye, right? It's just how it goes. So those are the Finches. Again, not my favorite Finches out of the group, but still quality made knives and definitely worth your $140 if it's the one for you. You know what I mean? So there we go. Then we have some Riot made knives. First up, we have the Wingman EDC Jet. This is probably the knife I spent the most time with out of this group, and maybe could do a full review on this one. I didn't cut that much with it because it's a loaner, it's expensive, but other than that, you know, I flipped it a lot. I carried it actually like 4 or 5 days. I took it apart, you know. I absolutely love the finish on these scales. Just blew me away, guys. The way these are just contoured and finished, and just it just feels like such a premium item in your hand. I don't know how else to describe the feeling of this knife in your hand. It just feels good. I really love it. The flipper tab, that detent is dialed in, guys. Just fires out of there. You have a hollow grind back here, flat up here, so you get the compound grind that you see a lot from Riot. Not my favorite aesthetic, guys. It's got that sort of SBR look to it. It's got that Les George look to it. He did not design this. I forget who did, but it's got that sort of vibe to it, right? That tactical knife vibe, that Peter Carey vibe. And that's just not my style, guys. Not in the least. But I can still appreciate a knife. You know what I mean? And so while this is not my thing, this handle is for sure. I love the proprietary pivot in terms of aesthetic. Hate it in terms of function. You guys may have seen me take this apart, and the tool didn't even fit in one of the sides. It wasn't tooled properly. 3D mill clip. You know, it's not the best, but honestly, I didn't have any problems carrying it. So that's what matters to me. Ergonomically, super comfortable back here. Really is. And you have a forward finger choil up here, and you drop into this poon spoon. We've been seeing that a lot lately, especially like on my knife here, the stout. You get in the choil, you get in the poon spoon, and it locks you into place. It's just an absolutely comfortable way to cut something. Really, really is. You can also use it with your pointer finger like this. Less intuitive for me on this one because you kind of ride up onto here, and it's not just doesn't feel as natural, so to speak. But ergos are good. Detent's money. The action, guys, after putting the skiff multi-rows in here, my God, look at that. And then just wants to drop on you. No play, no rock. Dead nuts on centering. Fires out. Now, biggest issue for me on action with this knife is the detent. The detent ramp. And I ramble about this stuff a lot, but your ramp starts here, right? So your detent break, you would think, is nice and early, right? This isn't like super early, but like it's pretty good right there, right? For example, the stout, the detent break right there. Now that is super early, guys. Once you break that, nice crisp, just break. So right there, we're past it. What happens? Sloop. Drop shut, right? Now on this, because you have a ramp, what you're breaking is not really the detent. You're jumping from the lock bar to the blade, I guess, or whatever. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like the thickness of the handle, right? So like, or the blade stock. So the ball is jumping from the lockup position on the blade, and it's going across this way, across the blade. And then it fully pops off right there. See that? And then it'll let you drop, right? But all of this area right there is where it pops off. Boom. So you end up having a detent that goes from here, and now you're gone. And it sucks because you break it, and with the flipper tab, you get hit right there. What happens when I go to shake it down? Boop. Just pops back up every time. Every time. Because you're on that detent ramp, and it just rides the ramp back up. And that's the problem with a not super well done ramp. I just don't like it with a flipper tab, really. There's no point in having it with a flipper tab. Just have a crisp break and make sure it breaks before that flipper tab hits me in the thumb, and then you're going to be solid, right? So that's my biggest issue with the knife. If you just kind of hit the lock bar down here, you pass it, and you're good to go. So righties, you may not have a problem. Left-handed, it sucks because you do this, and you think you're past it, and you end up locking it back up when you go to swing it down. You know, it just sucks. You have to get all the way to here and then swing it down. So you surely would get used to it over time, but just want to point it out. So anyway, guys, this knife is really fucking cool. That's the best way I can put it. This knife is just awesome. And it's not for me. Personally, wouldn't buy one, but if this aesthetically appeals to you, I say go for it. This is a really, really cool knife. That is the Wingman EDC Jet. Then, the last knife is the Riot Jack 1.5. Probably the best detent on an integral I've ever felt. Oof. Just fires out of there. After putting KPL on the bearings and the detent ball track, this thing has gone from not the most droppy to almost drop shut, guys. And that's with zero play in any direction. It just wants to drop now. The weight of that blade should make it drop, honestly. And we got it there with a little bit of KPL heavy helping it along. So that was a big win. This one, in terms of aesthetics, again, not quite my thing, but honestly, I do think it's sexy. You got kind of a double poon sort of thing going on if you count that. I guess it's just a poon. Then it kind of swings out. It's kind of like a scimitar or whatever you call those. Ergonomically, it's a beast, guys. So it's going to fit your hand just because it's huge. Feels good. You can spread your fingers out, slide them up here, choke up into this choil, right into this poon spoon, and you're good to go. Not a knife you're going to use. It's like $1,000 in this configuration with zircutai or mokutai or dog shit pie on the pivot collar and the clip. I still don't understand this knurling. I thought it was cool at first. Now I just think it kind of looks weird. But it's a cool knife, guys. It's an M398. How cool is that? I guess you would call this a sub-frame lock because it's basically a frame lock, right? It's all built into the frame, and then there's just an inlay over it. So I'd call it a sub-frame lock. Some people will call it something else, but it's my channel. Centering on this bad boy is dead nuts, and it fires, guys. This detent is incredible. Whapa! Just shoots out of there, wants to get up and go, and it does. Absolutely love it. Absolutely wonderful Riot made knife, guys. This is an in-house design, and I'm impressed. I did not like the Horizon D very much. Not the biggest fan of the Jack. I love the Jack 2.0 for sure, but it's got its quirks with the detachable blade and stuff. This one is just fire. This one is just absolute fire. This has that dark matter in red, and it really sticks out compared to the blue. Here's my blue on the SBD Mini Tempest, which is also Riot. This knife, man, it's so good. But look at that. Just so much more red throughout that than the blue on this guy. You get a streak here, but that's about it on the whole knife, you know. Yikes, I love this thing. It's just a little too big for me, this knife, you know, so personally I wouldn't want one. And I just don't go for these Riot design knives because none of them really design-wise stand out to me. But the action, the detent, the engineering, if you watch my unboxing, you'll see me take apart part of it. And the engineering is incredible on their knives. I just love Riot, guys. You know that. I'd love to do a project with them at some point. Hopefully we get to accomplish that sooner rather than later. But there we go, guys. That is the Riot Jack 1.5. And that is your rapid overview, sorry, and I did it in about 20 minutes, guys. That's pretty impressive for 5 knives. So shout out to me. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments about these. Am I wrong? Am I right? Do you agree? Do you think I'm an absolute madman? It's possible. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.